I told myself I was not going to do this. I made a tiny promise, for a short time that as a YouTuber, especially, this will be posted across. So whether you're on TikTok, Twitter, or YouTube, here you go, right? Um, I would not talk bad about other YouTubers, but I think in this small instance, I will. And I'm not going to repeat myself. So this is like the one time you're going to really hear me say something. I recently challenged Eric July, Young Ripper 59, to make a digital copy of his ISOM number one. Now, roughly would it be like what? Maybe a small percentage of what? Maybe a quarter. So if you thought about it, if you divide 35 into four, maybe $8 or $9. Okay, like an $8 comic book if you buy it digitally, hypothetically, right? Whereas like if you pay, $5, you're paying 99 cents for the newest Superman or Batman. So ISOM number one came out last year. People raved about it. People raved about the covers mostly, but there were people who reviewed the story and people who criticized it, good or bad. Um, right now, what I saw last night, he posted this yesterday, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna watch this. So what I'm gonna do is we're gonna chop it up into little pieces, and I will talk about this with you.
On the back of obviously ISOM one and all of the things that we did with our company, as all the customers, I got the greatest customers in the world. That will never change. Well, unless we change and we do something stupid. Pick and find things wrong with it. Like, hey, your price is too much, despite it being our first book. So basically, kind of, it skirts the line of being, let's say that it's a questionable business practice. And that's this whole variant situation. Variance. So what happens is that they try to make it seem as if, not make it seem, it's more of artificial rarity, but you have to buy into it. I was looking the other day. It was a report that there's 26 Superman covers. There's a new Superman 1 that drops next month. And this Superman cover has right here counted that League of Comic Geeks is showing of 17. I saw a report that had 26 already. That's easily, and definitely because of Superman, that's cycling through the entire alphabet. There'll be a cover Z page, that's it. And there will be 17. One of the incentive variants is a foil cover that you got to get 100 of them to get it, and it's cover P. And then you got cover Q, which you got to get 200, and you get that. This is a standard practice. And they do that, and they have nerve to say, well, guys like myself or the independent people that they create are charging too much for their books. And I don't see that ever being something that my company will do. No, hey, you want this special cover of ISOM? Well, you have to buy 200 of them bitches. And well, here it's a foil variant, and all it is, it's just a Superman. It's just simple. So anyway, I appreciate you so much for being a supporter and or customer. I even got a little love for my haters.
Now I'm going to speak from all angles here because in many ways he is right. DC Marvel or Dark Horse or Image, they have gimmicks all the time. When I was a kid, the first time I saw gimmicky covers, besides like the National Geographic's hologram cover in '88, there was hologram covers for Spider-Man's 30th anniversary. So you saw a black cover of Amazing with the hologram. You saw Spectacular Spider-Man in red with the gold hologram. I think Web of Spider-Man was blue and had another hologram, and then Spider-Man was a green one and had another hologram. 4 hologram covers. Superman 75, The Death of Superman, had an alternate, like a bag with an armband and stickers. I don't think I have Adventures of Superman 500, but that had a variant. Platinum editions were expensive. Platinum edition of Superman, you had to buy a certain number of comic books. Sound familiar? Sounds like the video here, as you described. You had to buy a certain number of comic books to get the Platinum edition for The Death of Superman and the Return of Superman, or Reign of the Superman, Superman coming back from the dead. He goes on about this stuff. So 26 covers for Superman 1, a new Superman 1. I roll up my eyes too, because I'm thinking, what the fuck is that about? All right? But it's Superman. Of all people, of all heroes, of all legends, it's Superman in 26 covers. They could get away with this. They can put people's feet to the fire. There's going to be maybe a village worth of people that would be like, I have to get every single comic book cover. If it kills me, I'll be on the hunt, right? And I can't fault those people. They love to do that. That's them. I mean, I remember McDonald's had Happy Meal toys that were 101 Dalmatians. I think twice over. Twice over they had 101 toys, 101 Dalmatians. Okay, so that was a thing. There were all kinds of gimmicks when you think of Happy Meal toys or comic books or action figures or video game in-game things you buy. Like if you go to your favorite retailer, GameStop, you get GameStop exclusive things. I mean, that's been happening for a while. So as far as the industry, big tech or big comic book tech, it can be bullshit. So I do see Ripa's side of this, okay? Because sometimes he's right as a shit talker of the big industry. However, he is starting to become the big industry. He is becoming, as George Lucas said when he was making his prequels, he was becoming the very thing he was fighting against with his Star Wars prequels. Ripa is becoming the very thing he is fighting very slowly. It's like Citizen Kane, but with a black dude in the role, right? You're becoming the very thing you're fighting against. I would see, and you can go through the Twitter, okay, of all these people who have shown that Apple Comics and others, Apple Comics, I'm sorry, not Apple Comics, Golden Apple in Los Angeles, in Hollywood, and other big comic book stores never had ISOM #1. They never carried it. They never had a record of carrying it. And by the way, Golden Apple, the comic book store, would have its own versions of comic books. They have Golden Apple exclusives. So Golden Apple was in good spirits with DC and Marvel that they would have their own versions of Superman and Batman comic books, like the covers. My philosophy is that if I make a cover to something, like you saw the cover, like I showed the cover to this on Twitter. My philosophy is if you design a cover, then that should be the cover, period. You shouldn't have 20 versions of one comic book. You shouldn't have the newsstand edition, quote unquote, and then the special foil lenticular cover, which I've seen so many times. It used to be 2 versions of one comic book. Now it's 20. And I do agree, that's ridiculous. But then you figure it's $5 per comic book, right? Let's pretend that the buy 200, get the special variant doesn't exist. So if it's 26 times 5, right? That's about 130, right? 26 times is about 130. And 17 times 5 is 105. And when you look at ISO #1, 35 times 3, and what is that? 35 times 3 is what? 105, right? It's about the same. It's like if you're buying the 17 covers, $35 times 3 is $105. Is that not right? But then you've got the signed covers too, which then that increases it a lot. And then I would see all these comic book listings on eBay for bullshit prices. So besides the bullshit eBay prices, besides the fact that Ripa would say, Eric July would say that they're in Golden Apple and these other big stores, they're nowhere near those stores. They're nowhere near this stuff at all. So the only way you can get them, you have to order them through the mail. You have to be the first one. He had these things. Get this cover, get this cover, get this cover. So as far as I can tell, there are 3 covers. And then there was a blank book that's an art book, sketchbook, and they have pencil sketch covers. I don't know what he wants to do, but it's easy for him to say that he would only just make 3 covers and that's it. But if his comic book company got big, by the way, shout out to Tony for showing me the trading cards. Trading cards are a joke. We don't need the trading cards for ISOM. From what I've read scans of this story, and the story does not look very good. And I've seen reviews saying that the stories need more work. I've also seen reviews that the story's pretty good and they want to buy more. But it's only been one. And then he's got like a music band superhero or anti-hero magic beings for the next comic book. It's not for me. I have so many comic books. You all know this. I have so many comic books from Image, from Dark Horse, from Marvel, from DC, Sonic the Hedgehog. That ISIM did not convince me of anything. Okay, it didn't, and it never will. Um, last thing I'll just say is that um, I think he deserves to succeed, but he's like the pot, he's the black pot calling the kettle black. He's the pot calling the kettle black. It's just the literal phrase. And like I said, for me, when I do my stories, I don't try to pitch like I'm a big company. I don't try to do lenticular hologram covers or 3 variant covers or 5 variant covers. I keep it simple. What you see is what you get. What you don't see is better yet, as Scott Steiner once said. So that's all I got to say about this. Just, I politely would ask you to shut the fuck up and make better stories. People will say, "Oh, ISIM #1 is shit." Well, I mean, it might be shit, but his fans say, "Oh, don't talk shit. It's his first comic book. What do you expect? He's working on it." Well, he's got a professional artist now working with him, so there's that. But honestly, it's like, okay, well, he's. The truth is, what you're buying is a Rippaverse product. You're buying a Rippaverse, whether it's a Rippaverse hat, a Rippaverse hoodie, a Rippaverse fake beard, a Rippaverse watch, a Rippaverse keychain, a Rippaverse wallet, Rippaverse bottle can opener or bottle opener. Whatever you're buying, it's a Rippaverse product. Rippaverse socks. Want some Rippaverse socks? You can buy anything. Rippaverse shoes, right? Rippaverse paper, Rippaverse napkins. It's just another Rippaverse product that's in the form of a comic book. That doesn't mean the comic book is gangbusters. It's not the Jesus cock of everything. It really isn't. It just isn't. You know what I mean? It's just not the way it is. Tony from Geek Getaway talked about this, and I've kept my mouth shut about it. But the other thing too is that unlike Rippa, DC and Marvel have digital comic books that you can buy for less. Now, if they don't sell enough to get the variants, they'll release the variants some way. But I think people will buy it anyway. I think that's how people are, because they'll find a way. Comic book stores like Golden Apple, the big comic book stores, the high maintenance comic book stores, they'll buy up those variants to get all the variants of Superman #1. Will I be buying it? No. And you criticize the shiny blue cover. Well, that was what the shiny cover of Green Lantern Hal Jordan's death was. Nobody talks shit about that. But then again, there were only 2 covers to Hal Jordan's death from The Final Night from 1997. I do have a long memory of comic book covers, special editions, limited stories, all this stuff. So isn't that something? That was something to me.